I'm gonna try to be as calm as I can. I'm very new to speaking into my camera. Please don't judge me too harshly. I'm just really here trying to heal, trying to turn my struggle into a testimony so that, you know, I can live out my wildest dreams too. And only thing I have to use is what I have. And, God made it very clear that, that's my testimony. You know, first of all, I'd like to let you know a little bit about me. I'm John Rogers. I'm 34 years old. I'm from Connecticut. I had a great life growing up, great mom, single mom. She did her thing. She did what most single moms had to do. She had to make it work. She had to, get out there and she had to, sacrifice. Because that's what real women do, Precious. They sacrifice, And she made me a very strong person, And I'm somebody who dealt with a lot of internal issues, but because I'm so strong, I never really deal with them. I just carry them. And, I'm in a season right now where I'm really releasing things that don't belong to me. And the things that I have lost that do belong to me, I'm going back to those things and I'm telling the devil, give me back my things, But with that being said, I want to talk about what I experienced this week at my job. My job, I've been there for 5 months. I work at Olive Garden in Enfield, Connecticut. And I was just told recently by both of my higher supervisors that I'm the best hire that they've had in a long time because I don't just work, I work. I give 100% when I don't like a job. I really like my job, so I give 110%. I don't miss days. I don't come late. I stay later. I pick up shifts. I go above and beyond. Like most restaurants that I cook at, because I'm a cook. When I get there, they're dirty. Everywhere I go, restaurants are filthy. They're filthy. You're pulling back, cabinets and you're pulling back equipment, and there's things down there that's been there so long that they're growing legs, and the smell is horrible. They wait until I get there though to do it because these people is not cleaning. You can't make them clean, but it's just something about me that when they see me, it's like, well, we're going to get you to do things we can't get nobody else to do. And I'm just like, well, that's what I'm here for, baby. Let's get it. Very grateful attitude, grateful to, have a chance to work and make honest money, because I have been in situations where, the way that I got money really wasn't the best, so I'm very grateful just to be able to make money, like really growing up. I never really knew what I wanted to do, but I'm very happy to be cooking. Like I'm in my own zone and I'm cooking, But, this week I dealt with some sexual harassment at work, and it's something that I have been dealing with not my manager, the person right under my manager, still above me, but not quite like my manager, but like a supervisor. And, anytime like the conversations got disrespectful or out of line, they would give me attitude like, but I'm in their Spanish accent, but I'm you boss, And I'm just like, you know what, John, I don't want to be problematic. You already know you're black. So, if you do complain, it's not going to be taken seriously. You're probably going to end up having to defend your complaint. And that's exactly what happened, So I'm at work on Sunday night. Today is Friday, so it's been almost a full week. I'm at work Sunday night and I'm working with the same individual who's always inappropriate. So I really try not to really have too much conversation because every time I bring my wall down, because he knows my wall is always up, but every time I bring it down, he very much jams the dagger in again, just letting me know I'm really interested in you. And I think it's gotten to the point where I've curved him so much that the interest has turned into resentment. So now he's legit trying to assassinate my character unbeknownst to me. I had no idea, but God had been dealing with me so much lately about just letting things play out and, praying God to reveal situations and reveal who your enemies are. And it's don't be upset when God does what you ask him to do. I'm very grateful because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm being played with, mishandled, misused, you know? And going back to the night where I was sexually harassed at Olive Garden, I'm working and the guy I'm working with says, and I'm going to do this word for word. I was a server and a bartender for years. So one thing I'm really good is repeating back. He says, all right, I'm done cleaning. I'm leaving. I'm like, he always does this. He's joking though. I'm like, no. I'm like, well, John, just play along with him. Just be nice. I'm always having to fake the funk. Like, I don't like you. I'm uncomfortable, but we have to work together. So, I'm going to be the bigger person, which somebody always says at work, like, you're always the bigger person. I'm like, right. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, no. We leave at the same time. He's like, oh, yeah, we leave together? I said, no. At the same time. He's like, no, we leave together. And I'm going to go to you home and I'm going to sleep in you bed. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, no, but you're going to sleep on the floor. I'm just like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm thinking inside my head. I'm like, you know what? Just curve this nigga as usual. I said, now, if you take my room, I charge $1,000 for rent. Like, just trying to joke, just so that it's not, don't make it into a big deal, because you're always trying to find a way to invite yourself into my bed. He says, $1,000? That's too much money. He says, for $1,000, you have to do more for me. You have to bottom for me. Word for word. It froze me. Like, all I could do was stand in one spot and just wipe the counter as I thought about, like, did I just hear what I thought I heard? Like, maybe you misunderstood him. He does have an accent. It's like, no, well, you're from the Spanish side of Bridgeport. So Spanglish and broken English, you understand. I'm like, you know what? Just forget about it. Tomorrow will be better. And it's like, well, you're always telling yourself tomorrow is going to be better and forget about it. When is enough going to be enough? When are you going to respect yourself? You feel me? You're at a point in your life, John, you need to start respecting yourself enough to not stand for these things. And I felt God grab me by my collar and say, and you better say something. And I'm like, I'm not saying nothing. 2 minutes later, I didn't even realize that he left the line where we cook and he went to the back where the people prep. And all I hear is laughter like, oh my God, oh Georgie, oh. He was back there telling people what he said to me. And they were gagging like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that to him. And the voices that I hear, that I notice, is the prep girl. But I'm like, but it's my kitchen manager too. I was like so frozen with embarrassment and just fear. Like, I was stuck. Like, I wouldn't even go look. I didn't want to show my face. I was embarrassed. You feel me? So I was like, I know they're not laughing at me. I was like, you know what? Just forget it. 20 seconds later, he comes to the front of the line, back where we are, grabs the microphone where we announce things that we need on speaker, and it goes to the whole kitchen. He said, Yolanda, bop, $1,000. In the background here, ah! I'm like, I said, oh, so you're going to try to embarrass me further after you disrespect me to my face? God is like, you better say something. I'm like, God, I'm not really good at standing up for myself. Like, it's going to make me problematic. They're going to retaliate. Like, I really just want to work and make money. I'm saving to get a car. Like, I only been out of rehab for 5 months. You feel me? I'm only 13 months clean. Like, I'm really changing my life around. It's like, well, God, like, my mental health is very important. And, this is going to really stress me out. I don't really good, in my culture, we don't really tell on people. And it's like, you feel me? I'm going to feel like a snitch. And then it's like, I could just beat them up and quit. It's like, well, you're on probation. So, you can go to jail for that. And it's like, well, God says you better say something. I said, okay, God, I'll say something. I'm starting to get comfortable with this camera thing because I'm not really comfortable. I said, okay, God, I'll say something. I said, I'll wait until I see the manager. He's like, this is God. He's like, the same manager that was back there laughing. I'm like, well, she's the only one that's here. And I was like, well, maybe it wasn't her. God was like, because you don't know everybody's laugh you've been here 5 months. I'm like, right, no, it was her. It's like, well, she is my boss. She's not the boss, but she my boss. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But it's one of them things where I just hope I don't see her. And then here she comes walking with this white girl, Brittany. And my manager, she's very pretty, gets very Nicki Minaj in the face. Dominican, the dark skin version. But not black still. But when it come to it, then they are. But then when it come to it, they're not. You feel me? But that's neither here nor there. No, we getting there, but we not there yet. Okay? I'm smiling because I've never been more right in my life. And you got to smile to keep from crying, which I did. I ain't gonna lie. I'm very strong. I don't cry. But this has really opened up the floodgates, because this is the root. God is showing us the root of where I lost my dignity and my self-worth. So going back to the story, the manager walks by with Brittany. The manager's name is Will Marie. I just call her Will. And God is like, and you better say something. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Will, can you come here? She is like, all right. But she takes the time to kind of come around, but then she comes. And I'm like, hey, yo, Georgie, come here. He comes over. So they're like this, and I'm in the middle. I'm like, Georgie, tell Will Marie what I better do for $1,000. Looks at Will Marie. Will Marie's like, what? What are you talking about? I said, what, Georgie, tell Will what I better do for $1,000. He's like, what? Shrinking she's like, well, what'd he say? I'm like, tell her. He's like, okay, no, well, I was just saying, I go to him house and sleep, in him bed, but him on the floor. She's like, wait, what? I'm like, right, because she's never heard this part before. I was like, no, very calmly. I'm like, no, he's not telling you what he said. She's like, well, maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe you didn't understand. I said, no, I understood him. I know exactly what he said. He's just not telling you what he said. And she's like, well, what did he say? I'm like, well, I really don't want to tell you what he said, because I'm too embarrassed to let that come out my mouth, because it was disgusting and it was very inappropriate. All I know is that it better not happen again. Now, we don't have to tell the big boss what happened. We can keep this between us in the kitchen, but he just needs to know that had better be the last time. Well, no, I didn't say nothing. I was just, him bad and me, but not with him. She's like, yeah, John, you misunderstood him. I'm like, first of all, you're not going to tell me that I misunderstood him. I told her straight up, I'm from the Spanish side of Bridgeport. I know what I was the only not Puerto Rican in my class. I know what he said. And don't play with me. And I told her, you really do not know me. You don't know what I've been through. And I'm being dead serious. That he can't do that no more. He's steady trying to say, no. And now they speaking in Spanish. And she's like, hang on, John, I'm trying to translate. I said, oh, so now he needs a translator? So now he don't speak English now. Mister, I know all the words in Spanish. She just I'm like, he not going to tell you the truth. I told her straight up, he lies about nothing. He's always just making up lies. I'm like, wow, what's the point of just saying, hey, here's a lie? I'm like, I don't understand people like that. I was like, he lies about nothing, so he's going to lie about something serious. And then she's like, yeah, well. I'm like, okay, so basically what's happening right now is that I'm reading you. And I'm trying not to read both of you, but we're getting there. She's like, John, you misunderstood him. I'm like, first of all, you're not going to keep telling me that I don't understand what he said because you're playing with my intelligence. And I said, first of all, I'm the victim. So I shouldn't be sitting here having to defend myself. Because you get canceled for that. I said it just like that. And she's like, no. What did he say? I said, you want to know what he said? You want to know what he said? Now I'm getting like, bitch, you about to make me say what he said? And then I ran it down, word for word. He said he was leaving. I said, no, we leave at the same time. He said, no, we leave together. I said, no, at the same time. He's like, no, we leave together and I go to your house and sleep in your bed, but you can sleep on the floor. I said, well, if you're going to take my room, I charge $1,000 for rent. Conversation is still okay on my end. He's like, well, $1,000 too much. You're going to have to bottom for me. This what they both do. No, he didn't say that. No. That's not what he said. Okay, so if he was just saying, no, that's not what I said. Okay. But you was just as sure as him that's not what he said immediately. Like, oh, no, that's not what he said. Girl, you know what he said. Because he went back there and he said it to you and you was laughing. And then you heard him on the microphone say it. And you mad that I'm running back to you what he said. That's why you so quick to defend that that's not what he said. And then that's when I think right there she realized like, oh shit, I fucked up. Yeah, you did fucked up. And I told her if I was you, I would have sent him home instead of be sitting right here trying to argue with me about my experience. Because first of all, I'm the victim. Straight up. She like, no, maybe misunderstood. I said, you know what? I'm leaving. And I bounced. I went, put on my coat, said, wait, can I please just talk to you? Can I please just talk to you? I told her, I said, okay, fine, we can talk. She sits me down. She's like, first of all, you know, and she goes right into race. She's like, I'm not defending him because we're Spanish, because people think I'm black. So I'm like, yeah, girl, I've heard it before. Amada La Negra, girl, you're Spanish and you be on the Spanish bullshit. You do. Don't play with me. Because, bitch, I don't play with you like that. She like, and you know, you the best hire I've had. And, you know, I really do feel like, you know, he said it because like he was just so red. He looked so embarrassed. I'm like, okay, so to me, you're going to be on my side. But to him, you're going to be on his side because the ultimate goal is covering up the fact that, you know that I know you was back there laughing. And I told her straight up. And then he went back there and he said it on the microphone. He said it back there. They laughed and he came and said it on the microphone again, too. And people were laughing. She was just like, trying not to give away that, you feel me? So she's like, you know, I have to bring this up now. And well, just give me a hug because, you know, like I really been planning on making you a manager. And like, you know, we will get to the bottom of it. So I come into work the next day. Girl, this video good. I come into work the next day and he's there. He the only one there. So I get on the line. We together for 10 minutes. They wanted to see how we reacted. They wanted to see if I would fuck him up. You feel me? So they finally came. They sent like some manager and training over to me. She's like, hi, John. So, you know, they're in the 90s and they want to speak to you. You ready? I said, yeah, I'm ready. So I went. It's my general manager. Her name is Andy. Gorgeous Panamanian. Beautiful, amazing personality. Like I idolize her as a boss. I think I did. We get into that. I walk up and it's just, you know, Will and Andy. And I'm like, so Will think that we all good because we hugged. And she's like, well, I covered my ass. So, and then Andy is just sitting there like, I sit down and she's like, okay. I'm like, well, let's do this. I really don't want to do this, but let's do this. She's like, okay. She's like, well, first, before we start, John, is anything happening at home? I'm like, She's like, yeah, because, you know, I was just saying how amazing you were. And I was so happy how you took charge of a situation. You just announced randomly, excuse me, Andy, come here. I want to talk to everybody on the line. I said, attention, everybody. We have a new person on the line. Let's welcome Lisa. I'm like, Lisa's new and we're happy to have her. But since we have new people on the line, let's remember our safety commands. Let's remember safety is first. And let's encourage her to use her safety commands because we don't want anybody to get hurt. Because she had hurt me twice the day before. And she doesn't really speak English well. But the issue wasn't that she wasn't speaking English. The issue is that she wasn't saying it. She could have said it in Spanish because we talk Spanish and English. You feel me? She just wasn't saying it. It wasn't a Spanish issue. Even though when I like told Will, the manager, like, hey, I feel unsafe for her because she hurt me twice. She was like, well, then you should just learn Spanish. I'm like, well, first of all, I can't really learn Spanish fast enough to teach her how to be safe today. I'm telling you so that you can handle it. And it's like, I'm not being mean, and I don't want to affect her confidence. I think her confidence is what's important here. Like, we need her to just like, be more confident and speak up, use your voice, like be in the room, be present, like push through, mama. Like, you can do it. Like, I support you, But basically I was told to learn Spanish, and then she looked at me like, and then just stared at me to look at how I reacted, because I really just wanted to say, you fucking fat bitch. That's what I really wanted to say. Hello, but I'm happy I just said it just now. Hello, and it feel good to say it. Because, bitch, you pretty, but you're fat. Moving right, and there's nothing wrong with fat bitches, okay? But I know why fat bitches be mad at me, because I'm 34 and I'm a sample size. Get into it. So she's like, well, I heard that you approaching Lisa wrong. Like, you're approaching people wrong. I'm like, no. I never approached Lisa. I talked to Georgie, the one who sexually harassed me, first. And I say, hey, she's unsafe. And then he's like, well, okay, I'll talk to her. He's like, don't do this because John don't like this, and don't do this because John like this. Like, you gonna John. And I told him, like, yo, don't make it about me having an issue with her. Make it about, like, just overall, use your command, behind, reaching, hot, excuse me. Like, come on. Like, let's just, because we're doing a lot of things, we need to be able to, like, communicate. Like, let's just do that. Don't make me problematic, what you've been trying to do. Because you really know I got shit on you, because you've been really, inappropriate, and I have not said nothing. Because I probably was just going to beat you up and leave. But God, come on, get into it. So I'm like, no, I talked to Georgie about it, and, that didn't really do nothing. So then when I saw Will, I told Will, and she told me to learn Spanish. So, I never approached her, and I told her straight up, like, I knew they were going to try to use this and flip this. That's why I tried to get ahead of the story. I said, that's why I grabbed you and pulled you over, and I said what I said to everybody, because I wanted to let you know that I was working overtime and wrecking my brain on how do I figure out how not to be seen as a racist and a bully, because that's what they are, and they're projecting on me. And then she was just like, she's like, okay, so they were instigating. Okay, I see. I'm like, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, but for you to start the conversation off with, I was just bragging about you, and now I hear this. And then you say, plus I hear you're approaching people wrong. So you threw 2 threats at me. You threatened me twice before we started the conversation. I slapped both of them down. Like, girl, please. What, you mad that I went off on Will and Georgie because they was debating me on him telling me he give me $1,000 to bottom? I'm like, the only thing that I said loudly is when I finally said what he said. I said, he said he would pay me $1,000 a bottom, and she's just like, no. And then I said louder, he said you would fuck me in my ass for $1,000. So at that point, that's being a belligerent black man after you done pushed me over the edge, which is normally what they try to do, which is why they're upset, is because with me, there is no edge. Why won't he just tip over? Why won't he lose his shit? Because, baby, I'm built for this. I, father of my house, vow to keep my mouth to myself. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. Look at your teeth and look at my teeth. We are not the same. But I was like, but okay, so the conversation was going the wrong way, but now I done got you in your mind because you definitely was out of it, but I got Will in her mind too when she was standing next to him, like, girl, don't forget that I got somebody on my side that sees everything and who's telling me, no, it's okay, push through. He good. Beyonce. He good. Go ahead, little baby. Work. Push through. So then we get into the conversation. She's like, okay, well, just tell me what happened. I'm not going to say it again, but I already said it. Basically, he threw bait to get me to start a conversation. And then once the conversation started, he immediately got into my bed and got inappropriate and then violated me. And when I told Will, she tried to argue with me about what he said. Will's just sitting there like, and it got me mad, and it made me raise my voice and say what he really meant about me and my. And she was like, okay. And I was like, but the issue, she's like, well, is there any chance that it was a misunderstanding? I said, I thought that for a second too, until he went to the back and I heard Yolanda and somebody else laugh, and Will's like this. Mind you, we hadn't talked about it, but Will was like, I knew he was going to bring this part up. Oh, I was saving that. Girl, I'm not going to tell you that. Girl, I already know what you want, senorita. And like Nikki said, when I say senorita, I'm not speaking Spanish. Hello? Go the fuck off, Nick. Go the fuck off. Okay, sorry. Beyonce and Nikki do that to me. I really don't understand. I really don't. But Will's like, oh my God. And I'm like, I talked to my PO. I talked to my life coach. I talked to my friend. And I talked to my mom. And they all have different opinions on how much I should say. Some things I should tell the whole truth. Some things I should leave things out. But, I really did hear people laughing. And me always Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm like, I don't think that I should really report everybody, because I don't think that it's everybody's fault that he walked up to them and said something that made them laugh, and then she's like, okay, good. So he don't want to tell everybody. That's less paperwork. And now I don't have to lose so many people. I'm like, but he really violated me. And it was very inappropriate, and he's done it before. And she's like, and that's the problem with me. So it was okay before, but now it's not. I said, no. It was never okay. So why didn't you say anything before? I'm like, well, retaliation, people not believing me. I was like, but really, to take ownership, I've always had a problem with standing up for myself, because I feel like, sometimes I really don't get justice. I'm not heard or understood, And then I leaned in to both of them and I said, can I be honest with you? I was like, do you want to know why I started using drugs? Because they know that I'm 13 months clean, because I'm very open, honest about that, because I plan on using my life as a tool to help other people like me. Like me. If you don't like me, if you ain't like me, this is not for you. So you can go. I was like, you want to know why I started using drugs? I started using drugs because I went down south to meet my dad. Hadn't seen him since I was 15. And at 30, I started using drugs. I went to go see him again at 30. I hadn't seen him in 15 years, and I really missed him. I wanted to talk to him. When I got there, a lot of things came up. For example, like, molestation and like, issues with like my mom, my stepmom, and how evil she was to me. And it got to the point where like, my stepmom and my step siblings, like they really ran me out of my dad's house. Like my dad was like, you have to leave, because they're not going to stop unless they hurt you, or worse. Like, every morning you wake up, they're attacking you. And it's just getting worse and worse. You have to go. So I told him I got in my car and I left. Now I started working at Olive Garden and other restaurants, living in my car, staying in hotels. And there were times I was struggling, and I linked up with people out there in them streets that helped me get rooms and rocked with me, get me company, listened to me. And, they smoked crystal meth. So I started smoking crystal meth too. When I finally made enough money to get home to Connecticut, I had a problem. And then that caused issues on my mom's side, which I've never had issues on my mom's side, but I came back a full-blown addict, and they were like, whoa, like, who is this? So I understand like their beef, but we're better now, But like the chapter with my dad, we just closed the book, and it's like, all of this is very triggering. Like it's bringing up a lot of those feelings of not being protected. I told him straight up, like I always felt like my dad never protected me. And then I started crying, like really it hit me. Like my dad never protected me. He always wanted a relationship, but he never could stand up for me, and I told him like, there were times when I did disrespect my body for money. And I'm in recovery. Like my mental health is number one. And like, offering me money for sex is like holding drugs up to my face. So I just really explained to them, like, because I told them a few times, like, y'all really don't know me. And I told them I'm very humble. Like I come in, I do my job, I enjoy it, but like you really don't know how dope I am. You don't really know like all my experience, because the truth is they never really want to get into how much we can offer, because they're jealous. They really just want to cap us where they can cap us and keep us there. But it's like the truth is, before I really put out my resume, you would probably ask me just to leave, because it's like, I'm looking for an accomplished nigga that can really be a valuable asset. You're looking for someone that you can control. So normally we play dumb to get these positions, but being smart is problematic, So like they were just like, oh my God, thank you for being honest with us. Like, and just let you know, like anything that you tell us stays between us. And it's like, and then she kind of like stepped back in her chair. I finally got her on my side because I was listening to God, and all week, all the ministry I listened to. Like I listened to Sarah Jake Robert. I listened to T.D. Jakes. I listened to Pastor Jamila Gooden and Fred Gooden. I listened to Stephanie P. Smith. I listened to Latoya Nokia. I listened to Shantia. Like, these are people that messages are always, for years. I've been watching them for years quietly. I comment here and there. I'm not one of the people that really need to be seen. But like, every once in a while I let them know, like, keep going, because like it's needed. And they all were saying like the same thing, like, you need to like, really walk into who you are. That they're hating on you because you're a child of God. They want to, extinguish that light. You have to push through major changes. Like, basically everybody telling me to heal, step up and speak, and walk in like my authority. And that's what I did. And it ended with them letting me know that they were going to, go to corporate about it. And she said, I'm not sure if we have to send one of you home or both of you home. I was like, why would I be? Oh, because I said what he said loudly. I said, wow, you just have to be a meek person if you're Black. Like, you can't have no emotions. Like, you can't be emotional. This man just totally violated my whole manhood. Like, people have been killed for less, And I was like, well, before you do that, since it's still a debate on whether, I'm telling the truth or not, I was like, well, Will is here. And I was like, and it was very hard for me to get this out. I was like, I just really didn't really want to say this. And it's like, really hard for me, but people like say I really should. But like, I really felt like when he went back to the prep area and said it and they were laughing and he said on the microphone, I really felt like Will was there too, because I heard her and Yolanda laughing. Will's like, mm-mm, mm-mm. And Andy's just like, she's like, okay, we just going to file the report. Like, she's very much like, let's keep it on Georgie because it's like getting too much. She's like, okay, that's 1, 2, 3 people already. Like, she's like, we're just gonna file the report. We're gonna ask people to write statements, and that's that, I said, fine. I went back to the line. She told me very much, John. She said, when this stuff happens, you need to let me know right away. I was just like, okay. Got on the line. 10 minutes later, they talked to him for like 2 seconds, and it's very much like, okay, Georgie, what happened? And I assume that it was like, well, he said he was we were leaving at the same time, and I said I was gonna go with him and like go to his bed, but like not with him on the for sure. Okay, go home, because already it's inappropriate. And you know, he left, and I had to finish the shift and do both of our jobs. Being overwhelmed, work was quiet. It was like the quietness hurt. That's how quiet it was, and I felt so uncomfortable when people looking at me. And then one lady was like just rolling her eyes, and then the manager was like, well, listen, I'm leaving y'all. Y'all did amazing this weekend, which we did have a great weekend. And then, you know, the lady was like, well, that's because everybody was in the right places, basically subbing the fact that George is gone and I'm here. And I'm just like, bitch, you don't even know what happened. And if you want to support a pervert, that's on you. But girl, like, that's the type of stuff that's gonna make me blow up, and which it did. We getting there. So I worked the shift, and I was like dizzy, nauseous, hands shaking, because I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be problematic. Everybody's gonna know, like, you know, I got rid of him, and people gonna be like, oh, I just wanted his job, and you know, and they putting me in his position right now. People looking like da 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 da. Hang on, I have to vape real quick because I'm getting stressed out. Even though studies say that vaping makes you more stressed. Haven't smoked a Newport in 13 months. I just picked up vaping because it tastes good. Yeah, so I had to take a minute off of the line and go take a deep breath and, like, you know, catch myself, like, oh my God, like, you know, did I do the right thing? Like, what people gonna think, you know? And it was a couple times where I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna throw up. I think I'm gonna faint. Like, it was very much like, I was like, oh my God, like, I feel so emasculated because I really feel like a bitch right now because I'm trying to do things the right way because I really knew how to handle him. And, you know, I really didn't, you know? I feel sick just thinking about it. So anyways, closed up, went home, got through the shift. I come into work the next day, and the boss sees me, and she's like, well, I just want to, you know, pick up where we left off. She's like, well, y'all will be working together this weekend. So I just want to make sure, like, you know, are you going to be okay? And I'm like, okay, so they didn't fire him. I was like, but why she couldn't just say we didn't fire him, you know? And I was like, well, like I told you before, it's not about, you know, him getting fired or not. It's really about him ultimately learning his lesson, because, like, I'm not trying to, like, tear anybody down or move anybody out the way. Like, I really feel like, you know, this could be a life lesson. And it's like, even though Summer Walker says I don't give a nigga grace, put a nigga right in his place, I'm willing to, you know, give him grace, you know? And she's like, okay, good. So I'm like, okay. She's like, but if y'all need to talk, I can facilitate that. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. So I have 2 days off after that to unwind. I stopped talking to myself. I stopped being stressed. I could eat a little bit. I'm kind of back to not being able to eat. Very stressed out, like can't eat. I come back into work today, Friday, and she's like, hey, so I want to pick up where we left off again. She's like, so you good, right? I'm like, no, me and him need to talk. She's like, well, why don't you just start working and see how you feel, and if you still want to talk. I said, no, I want to talk. She's like, okay, well, I have something to do right now. We'll do it later. I said, fine, okay. So I went out there, got on the line, started doing it. She comes out and she like lets him know in Spanish, ba ba ba, we're gonna talk, ba 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 ba. And then he's like, ba 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 ba, and then they're like, ba ba ba. So then she's like, okay, John, come on. I'm like, okay. So she brings in the ear and she's like, all right, kiddos, well, before we start, just want to let y'all know, like, we have a goal in mind, which is to be a team, work hard, and be number one. So, like, I want y'all to speak, but I want y'all to be respectful. Like, please don't fight each other because I really need both of you. And I'm just like, well, you know, I really like you, so I'm going to do this for you. But then I start realizing, like, I just keep doing all this stuff for her, but it's like, you know, they're not really doing shit for me. But, you know, she's like, okay, so John, do you want to say anything? I'm like, yeah. Georgie, are you going to apologize? He's like I said 1,000 times, I'm sorry. And I'm like, bitch, you never told me sorry. Well, I said that inside my head, like, bitch never told me sorry. I'm like, okay, well, then I can accept your apology then. She's like, okay, good. Oh, no. And she's like, I just want to let you know I'm not on either one of your sides. I'm like, she's like, because I don't know, what was said or what was not said. I'm just like, so we still debating on if John is telling the truth, even though we know he is. But just to make it a clean transition for me, we're just going to say we don't know because, like, I can't really afford to get rid of either one of you. So I was just like, okay, that's fine. I accept your apology. And she's like, you want to say anything else? I said, just want to let you know this was not about getting you in trouble. I really told them, like, not to fire you. Like, let's try to figure it out, and move forward. Because I really want to move forward, So we shook hands and went back to the line. They look at us for a little bit, see how we working, and then bounce. She leaves. So as we working, the same lady who was like, well, we had a good night because everybody was in the right place. Like, Georgie, you're the best. And da-da-da-da-da. And then you got the big stinky gay boy, he running around subbing and saying crazy shit like he been saying and singing songs that relate to the fact that I don't like what he said to me. You feel me? Like, don't talk to me like that. Like, you feel me? Like, very, like, demasculating. But he mad because I had to report his ass for just out of nowhere saying to me, we need to stop hiring Christians. I was like, well, you probably don't know I'm a Christian, but I am. And I'm telling. Because I'll beat you up about my Jesus, but instead of beating you up, I'm going to tell. So they subbing me. I'm kind of getting in my feelings a little bit. I was like, you know what? It ain't that deep, John. Just relax. Keep working. So then the prep girl who was back there laughing with the manager who wasn't there laughing too, she, all day she looked at me like, and then when she, bop, 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 is everything all right? Oh, everything's good. Okay, good. Okay, good. We got away with it. Okay, good. Okay. I'm like, hi, Yolanda. It's like, hi, John. I'm like, what up? Then, we working. She comes standing next to me to do something real quick because she pops in and out of the line from the back to fill stuff up for us and do stuff. She's like, Georgie, ha, 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 ba, 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 ah. Like, I'm laughing and speaking Spanish. Is this pissing you off? It did. Because I'm not the type of nigga to sit here and care about what you're saying. Y'all been trying that, and it's been not getting to me. Y'all know that I don't care what you're saying. It's not important to me. Because you ain't brave enough to say it in English. But I'm like, but the fact that you know that I complained about what he said to you and you was laughing and they question you. So you do know. And a normal person, if they're not guilty, would be, like sympathetic to the fact. Like, you probably wouldn't be trying to be around me because it's going to make me uncomfortable. So at that point, I knew that they were fucking with me. I knew that they were trying me. And I was just like, you know what? I forgave him. I gave him more grace. I tried not to report everybody because you know what? The other people didn't get reported because that complaint was just like, well, we already taken one complaint, nigga, slow down. We already let you do one complaint. We ain't about to be sitting here complaining on everybody. And here they are taunting me still. And TD Jakes was just preaching about rebuking the spirit of torment. Or maybe it was Jamila Gooden. No, maybe it was Fred. That might have been Fred Gooden. He was preaching about rebuke. And so I'm saying out loud at home, I rebuke the spirit of torment because I deal with it at home too. You feel me? So I'm rebuking the spirit of torment. You got everybody wanting to say stuff like it's a sensitive topic for me. As a man, it's very sensitive because it's my pride. It's my ego. You feel me? Like, I was disrespected in the worst kind of way by a nigga who could never climb my back. And really the truth is that he's a bottom. You feel me? But now that he know that, I ain't thought, now he want to try to disrespect me to my face and to other people while he worked behind the scenes trying to make me problematic about other situations. Then it all came to me like, oh, this nigga is trying you, bitch. And I'm just like, he is trying me. And I was like, and you really gonna sit here and act like everything is okay? So I come off the line, coming back.